don't think it's how it works.
Okay, I can't read the ingredient list so.
Okay. So I think we have started rolling, so we will just start with a bit more casual.
So handsome.
Yeah, so we will start the.
Ming Liang was so chill with it, the interview just now.
I think I spoke too fast though.
A bit, but not too shabby.
And everyone just slow down a little lah. So, but there will be like transcription, so it's mainly for the viewers. Yeah. But a little faster pace is okay because they will know that you are pretty excited about it. Hi everyone, this is Mr. Lim from SAP Academy, and I'm very honored to
Can
have.
we restart? I was like doing this. I was like, hi everyone.
This pause it, right? Pause it lecture.
Okay, NG.
Okay, NG. Cut number 2. Hi everyone, this is Mr. Lim from SAP Academy, and we are very honored to have with us 3 brilliant young tutors from Zenith Studios. So, make an introduction for yourself.
Hi, my name is Evan. I'm actually the managing director of Zenith Education Studio, and I also teach economics.
Hi, I'm Sean. I'm basically the head of physics at Zenith Education Studio.
Okay, I'm Ming Liang and I'm heading the math program at Zenith Education Studios. Nice to meet you all.
The amount of passion in this room is really crazy. They are very, very passionate teachers, and what I can tell you is from our informal sharing, they dedicated a lot of hours just to see students and help students to achieve their goals. And we all want the best for students to help you all to get the best grades you have for your university applications. So for our viewers who are viewing this from, and most likely you are trying to understand a little bit better about your subject combinations. So we have some questions that were streamed in, so we just want to ask our panel of experts here. So number 1 is, what's the merit of taking 4 H2 subjects as contrast to like 3 H2 and 1 H1? So who would like to take question?
As the scholar.
As a scholar,
Okay, so maybe personally for me, right, because I came from Raffles, okay, for our side, actually, it's quite typical for the students to all take 4 H2s. Mainly the idea is because if you are capable enough, right, okay, they will like to stretch your potential. Okay, so exploring 4 H2, right, actually lets you do more subjects in greater depth. Okay, and so when you go to universities, you have actually more choices. That's one aspect of it. Okay, second aspect is actually more of the grading system for the CAP itself. Okay, so when you have 4 H2s, right, okay, so what they do for A-level is that they will take 3 H2s, okay, your best three H2s, and then for the last one, right, which is hopefully it's not that bad, okay, but they will actually demote it to a H1 now, okay. So in that case, taking 4 H2s, right, okay, it does give you a slight advantage, okay, over 3 H1 and 1 H2, okay. But that being granted, you also must know that taking 4 H2 means you need to put in more effort also as well, okay. Because technically, most H2 subjects require more effort to actually score well compared to H1s. Yeah.
So for more details about the breakdown of the differences between H1 and H2, remember to watch our videos, like and subscribe. But anyway, having said that, so we're going to discuss a little bit more about subject choosing. So we understand that for subjects in our new syllabus, we need to have one which is contrasting. So Evan, can you share a little bit more about what is this contrasting subject that we have?
so basically, you're not allowed to only take science subjects or only art subjects. If I could, I would only take art subjects, but you always must make sure that you take a contrasting. So, I would say that the 2 most popular combinations would be physics, chemistry, math, econs, or bio, chem, math, and econs. So the econs is actually the contrasting subject because economics is actually an arts subject rather than a science. So every single school actually requires you to have this contrasting subject. So some of the most common subjects would be economics. A lot of people take literature. Some people like to take geography, but I would say generally those few subjects are the contrasting that most people take.
So one contrasting can be like humans, and then you take like sciences and math in contrast with that, is that?
Yeah.
So just to understand, it's like courses like literature, like popular for like among students at the H2 level?
I would say actually varies between school and
Varies between school,
very
actually.
yeah, like for example, I was from ACJC. I think a lot of students actually took literature. Yeah, but from what I know, other schools, like there will still be a lot of people who are interested in taking it, but it isn't nearly as popular as compared to science subjects.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. So how about understand? You may have other interests, for example, like AP, MEP. So some of our viewers, they have MEP program and they wanted to understand a little bit about the involvement in terms of commitment and amount of effort that they have to put in when they sit for the E-level. So does anyone have any experience for taking a contrasting subject such as AAP or MEP?
For me, I actually took a program called Drama Elective Program.
Oh.
So my subject combination was actually geography, econs, drama, and math. So I always like to start off like my introduction with a fun fact, and I always like to say that for my A levels itself, I did Muay Thai and dance. So I for my A levels itself, 60% was performative. So like my final paper at the end of the year, the written paper was only 40%, whereas about roughly, if I'm not wrong, about I can't remember the exact breakdown, but close to 50% was just pure performance. One was an individual performance where I did Muay Thai and dance. Then another one was a group component where we did a 30-minute play. And then finally we had to actually do a thesis paper on our individual performance. I always like to tell people it's basically like a H3 paper, just that it's not a H3 by itself. But I would say the amount of time that we had to spend doing the paper, you can actually treat it as if it was a H3.
Since
But
the
yeah,
AAP and MEP program can be pretty time consuming.
it is. Yeah.
So we did mention it's pretty similar to H3. So for our viewers, so Sean Ming Liang, probably you can tell our viewers like what is H3 as compared to H2? Like, is it compulsory to do so, and what advantage does it have for students who take H3? Probably like H3 math and H3 physics. So we start off with Sean first.
Okay, so basically for H3, it really just is more in-depth and extracurricular. So like I said just now, what basically H3 students have to do is basically kind of like get attached to an outside entity, maybe a university or something, where they have to undergo projects with undergrads and really understand more about basically the subject that they're studying.
Seems like it's a bit similar to the AP
Yeah,
program.
very similar, very similar. It's very, very time consuming as well. So even though I didn't take a H3 subject, but in Hwa Chong it's actually pretty common for most people to actually do a H3. For example, I had a friend who did H3 chemistry, and what happened was that she got attached to a lot of outside companies and universities to basically go more in depth and understand more about the subject. So actually from her experience, it was actually very, very interesting and much more rewarding than just studying a H2 topic, which is purely theory. Because for H3, you have to go outside, partake in the experiments, and actually apply your knowledge. Yeah.
So how about like H3 math?
Okay, so for H3 math, right, actually it goes a lot more in depth into like rigorous proofs, like actually understanding like the concepts in detail itself. Because actually what you do for H2 is mostly applying, like, okay, you could understand it at a not a pretty rather surface level, like, and then just apply it onto the questions itself. But for H3, they'll go more in depth into like maybe even uni undergraduate like level 1 module courses. Okay, so in that case, right, I will say that if you are someone who actually likes reading math, like if you are someone who really likes to look at math textbooks and read them, then that might be the thing for you, to be honest. Okay, but one thing to note for H3 is that for the reason why most people take H3, right, other than to get greater exposure, right, and it's just to actually increase their odds of getting scholarships, lah. But that being said, right, okay, it's your first priority is to make sure that your H2s, right, you can secure the A's first. Okay, because for personally, because I'm a scholar for NUS also as well. Okay, so for me, I didn't take any H3 lah. Okay, so I purely just had just H2As, like straight A's. Okay, so I still managed to get the scholarships, and quite a number of other people actually do still get scholarships without the H3s lah. So I would say that H3 is just a very good add-on if you're already certain that you're pretty much gonna get your straight A's already. Okay, and it will come into play if you're trying to apply for more prestigious scholarships, like for like the PSA scholarships. Yeah.
And also, like, if you're trying to get into like the top universities in the world, I'll say it's not so much on the US side, but mainly on the UK side, especially when you're applying using the UCAS system. If you actually took H3 subjects for Oxford, Cambridge, your Golden Triangle universities like LSE, UCL, Imperial, I would say that H3 does give you a significant boost, because at the end of the day, I'll say basically everyone who applies for the same course as you has that straight A's. And the only thing that can really distinguish you apart from them is actually those H3 subjects that you take on top of your current grades. And at the same time, one more thing I think it's good to point out is the difference between H3s in general can be quite diverse. For example, for me, when I was actually because I was planning to take H3 geography, but then I after a while I decided not to because I had too many CCA commitments when I was in JC about 6 years back. So it's just a thesis paper. So for H3 geography, it's literally just if I'm not wrong, a 4,000 word thesis paper, which you have to spend a lot of time just writing and really tweaking. Whereas for other subjects, for example, like math, physics, like there's Yes, you can be attached to a university or do a research program, but at the end of the day, a lot of students, what they do is actually they have an additional subject in school. So after all their H2 papers are done, they have H3 papers that they have to take in December. Yeah, so it's quite diverse. It really depends on what kind of a H3 program you want, whether it's internal within your school, whether it's attached to a university, whether it's a thesis paper. Yeah.
I see. So having bridged into the topic about scholarships, so I guess like at the end of these 2 years, so a lot of students, a lot of our viewers will be very bright. Like I mean, you'll be able to get your very good stellar results. So now for our viewers who are trying to gun for a scholarship, so I think something in mind is like a very good CCA record.
Yeah.
So probably you can share a little bit, how do you juggle the time between academical activities versus like co-curricular activities?
Well, I had 4 CCAs.
4 CCAs.
I did.
He survived.
I survived. barely. Well, how did I do well?
And he did very well to get a scholarship to.
Yeah. I didn't get scholarship. I didn't apply.
He rejected.
No. Let's not talk about it. But I did floorball, so I did A-Divs for 2 years. I did theatre. I did a lot of plays for theatre, dance, performance for schools. Then externally on the outside, I did frisbee. So frisbee, I think I won like 4 or 5 tournaments, and then also went for international competitions. Then last but not least is the one I actually spent the most time on. I did amateur Muay Thai and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So I had to juggle all of that. I still remember like on a typical Wednesday, it will be like 2 to 5 o'clock. I would go for floorball, and then like 5 to 8 I would go for theatre, and then like 8 o'clock I rush down to the city because my Muay Thai gym is in the city. Then I had to do Muay Thai from like 9:15 to 10:15. So like a lot of people ask me how did I survive, but I always say it's very simple. Number one, your subject combination is extremely important. There are easy subject combinations and there are hard ones. Like I always like to banter a bit like H1 math. If you take if you have a math background, it's not time consuming at all compared to H2 math. I always say that the difference is very big. And at the same time, for drama elective, I'll say that there isn't as much studying to do. It's more practical based. So I had a lot more time on my hands to actually juggle. So if let's say I will take a more difficult subject on me, let's just say I'm going to go with the arts one, history, geography, econs, and then maybe suddenly my contrasting like chem. Then no way I will have time to actually do all these CCAs. But I'll say at the end of the day, while CCA portfolio is important, but if you don't even have the grades in the first place, then it won't really matter. So you need to make sure you know how to juggle your time and don't try to do too much, because I regret doing so much, even though yes, I got to enjoy a lot of experiences, but you need to really find a balance. And I would say for the first 1 year, it might be difficult to strike the balance, but you will slowly adjust to JC life and it will get better.
But there's an alternative view on that as well.
Yeah.
Actually, so if let's say you don't do too well, touch wood,
Correct.
for A levels, actually your CCA portfolio is something that can actually save you.
That's correct.
Yeah. So while I was in Huach, I basically DSA track and field. But basically I didn't do track and field. That wasn't my main sport. Yeah. Basically what I did was I represented Singapore as a national athlete. Basically went to world championships for triathlon about twice during my JC period, as well as for YOG qualifiers. Yeah. So a lot of my classmates and my teammates who basically put a lot of heart and soul and time into track and field, actually sadly they didn't do so well for their A levels. But during university interviews, the second round of interviews, because of their CCA commitments, actually that gave them the edge above other applicants, and then they got the spot. Yeah, so that's actually an alternate view. But however, I do agree with Evan, do not rely purely on your CCA. First things first would be your grades. Yeah.
But they are shifting towards more aptitude-based admissions.
True, correct.
Like I have friends who, like if you were to consider their score, they wouldn't get into university, but because they're a national bowler, like best in their age category, they're still admitted into universities. Like my friend just got into SMU, even though he didn't do that well.
I see.
Yeah.
So from talking about scholarships, now we move into applications for universities. And I guess something that's really interesting in our current education landscape is we have the introduction of liberal arts systems, for example, NUS and Yale College.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
So which is extremely rigorous as well, but it does involve a hybrid of different disciplines like science, math, and as well as our humanities.
Yeah.
So now we have introduced a hybrid system to our JC syllabus. So could you share a little bit more about what's this hybrid system?
Wow, this one. Okay, actually, for me, I don't really have much personal experience about the hybrid system, but I do know a few people who actually took hybrid courses back in the my JC time. Okay, so it's actually what you usually have. Let's say if you have the science stream, right, you'll take 3 science subjects and 1 contrasting. Okay, for the hybrid, it'll be like 2-2. It's more balanced.
Yep.
Okay, I can't comment about for them. Maybe because of their interests, that's why they actually took that. But for me, the reason why I stuck to science was because I wasn't a very arts-oriented person. I prefer science, and I was pretty sure that my university choices, right, the courses I would go for is 100% going to be science. Okay, yeah, really 100% going to be science. That's why I actually stick with what I have. But I say, suppose let's say you really have interest in both areas and you want to explore, right? Okay, you could opt for the hybrid, lah. Okay, because actually right now I think recently the NUS also announced they are actually building this new course, right? That's integrating both the humanities and
it was on the news, today.
Oh, it's today. Oh,
they
okay.
are launching like the multidisciplinary program.
Yeah, integrating the science and the humanities together,
Yeah,
right?
correct.
Yeah,
A
so
new faculty.
that's just something that's interesting. I think it's good, okay, because in a sense it's good to be it's more holistic development, okay, because you are well developed in both of your right and left brain areas of both the left and right brain, okay, yeah.
Yeah, correct.
I will actually add on by saying that while a lot of people take PCME, BCME, I think there's I think hybrid students especially are a bit different. It's more like they choose subjects which they love rather than the subjects that can open the most doors. And when I look at my own friends or even my students, a lot of them who are taking hybrid they don't really have the end goal in terms of I want to enter this course or I want to have as many doors open as possible, but it's more of I just want to study what I love and I'm best at. And I feel like these students actually they do the very very well because they don't force themselves into taking a subject that can open doors but they don't really enjoy or not really are competent at. So I feel like not all schools offer hybrid combinations. In fact, most schools actually restrict you in terms of you need a big combinations, right? But some schools are actually allows you to do any given combination you want. For example, ACJC you can pick literally anything. Yeah.
I see. So since like it's a good choice for our students, for our viewers, so since like and if NUS is pushing towards it, so this is something which you can consider. But having said that, you must be very passionate about what you do and with the end goal in mind to get into a good course as well as a good career later. And having said that, we are going to bridge into the next concept. So how about the other end of the spectrum? We have students who did very well when we talk about their scholarships and to university applications and stuff. So we're going to talk also about probably for our set 4, some of them who didn't do really well and they are restricted by their colleges from taking 4H2s. So what do you have as advice for them? So like in terms of, let's say, subject combinations, 3H2, 1H1, what's the contrasting subject to take, and what have you picked up from students who had such courses to share with our viewers?
That's a very, very interesting question. But I think we discussed this with a lot of our own students, right? Like me and Evan, basically what we do is we sit down and we kind of like plan with them as well, like what's good, what's bad, and whether they should drop this or that subject. Yeah. But basically talking with the students, I think me and Evan, and Minga as well, right? You can basically come to the conclusion that the best topic to go and basically take for H1 is gonna be math. It's gonna be math.
I still remember I have some students like they come to me because their siblings were under me. They come to me and like even before they even start like the J1 year, they do like some planning with me because like I said before, subject combination is possibly one of the most important determinants of how well you do at the end, whether it's really something that you're good at or you're just taking it because you want to open doors. And like one thing I always like to do is say, if you want to have an easy time and if you did well for A math, then just take H1 math. And then like normally people like to take H1 econs and H2 math, but if you switch it around, yes, H2 math has a high distinction rate, but by taking H1 math you free up a lot of time which you can use for other subjects. So I literally have people coming up to me thanking me, not for teaching them econs, but for thanking me because I told them to take H1 math, and they're like, wow, Evan, you literally saved my life. If I didn't do that, I can imagine spending so much time doing H2 math. I see all my friends suffering, but meanwhile I start like a month before, like even though because H1s generally people don't put in as much effort, like let's be honest, but like it's still very manageable because especially the first year is like mainly A math topics, right?
Yes.
Then the new topics are actually considerably easier than the
It's actually
H1.
not that bad.
Yeah,
It's
it's
not
not that
that
bad. Yeah.
Okay, at this point I must give disclaimer also. Okay, so this is all considering given that okay, firstly is the other three H2 that you choose, right, you are quite confident getting an A already. So maybe the H1 math you can just take it and get a free A lah. Assuming that you already got a good A math background. Okay, that's one thing to think of. And then the second disclaimer is that please go and look through the unique courses first and make sure that whatever you are actually interested in doesn't require H2 math as a prerequisite before you actually choose H1 math.
We do know that math is one of the most popular choices. So because like both art streams and science streams do offer that as one of the subject combination. One of the questions submitted is, if I was to choose between art stream versus science stream, which course allows me to have more university choices or options?
Controversial answer.
Not controversial. Controversial. I don't think arts opens any doors at all.
Ouch.
It's just that it sets the foundation. I mean, like for example, I took econs in JC, and then when I went into uni, when I had to do my econs modules, it was a piece of cake. To the point where I didn't even look at the lecture slides. I could also do a lot of the questions. So it basically forms the basis of your university degree. But the thing is, at the end of the day, I would say a lot of students don't really pursue arts courses that they already previously took out. Like, just because you took geography in JC doesn't really mean you will do it in university. So like, if you really don't know what you want right now, and I feel like that's perfectly normal to not know what you want yet, the best thing to do is obviously to open as many doors as possible. But I feel like if I have one piece of advice, it's really just make sure you choose the subjects that you love rather than doing subjects that you hate but might open doors, because it will really make your entire 2 years in JC very, very difficult.
I see. So I guess there are pros and cons in choosing whether the art stream or science stream, but if you really want the best of both worlds, so probably the hybrid course is something
Correct,
which you might
yeah.
really want to consider. Yes, so thank you so much Evan, Sean and Mings for our interview. So, and thank you our viewers for joining us in this session. So is there anything that you'd like to add before we conclude our session for this?
Ask them come to our open house.
No need
We will send more details.
okay, hold on, this one cut part.
Yes, cut everything up.
What does I don't know.
Okay, so now let me just rewrap that. Okay, so we'll just say that stay tuned for updates, you know, where we have
Probably
like
more
Q&A.
interactions in Q&A.
Yeah.
Okay.
So thank you so much Evan, Sean and Mings for such a fruitful and informative discussion, and I hope our viewers have benefited greatly as well. So for more details, do drop us a text or WhatsApp and stay tuned for updates on some of the seminars which we'll be having to address some of the concerns you have closer to the dates of JE release, and all the best for your O-level results. Okay, great.
Thank you.
Okay.